By first getting into what we're going to do today. Today's an arithmetic reasoning review. And as always, when it comes to these types of classes, we're going to be looking at basically tackling three main fundamentals. Number one, we want to make sure that we know effective word problem strategy. You got to make sure you know how to strategize, for the simple reason being, you're not going to know what type of word problem you're going to be given, and you're not going to know how to handle that exact word problem because it's likely you haven't seen that exact situation before. So effective word problem strategy is going to keep you calm, cool, and collected. Very important. Number two, we need to know how to practice each type of problem that you'll see. And when I say type, I mean each concept. Everybody, is it true that we could be talking about the same exact concept 5 times, but each of those times, it could be a completely different situation in the word problem? True or false? And Ricardo, yes, the type's eccentric. Okay, and I'm glad you guys agree. It's absolutely true. When it comes to percent word problems, even if we're just talking about the basic word problems, there's 12 to 20 different ways that I can list off for you right now, and it could look completely different. It might even trick you into thinking it might be a different type of problem, but it will be percent. So with more practice, again, you're going to have more range to work with and more range to get less nervous with when you take the real test. Next up, how to move on after today. For those of you that are in the program, after each problem that we do today, again, you're going to be timed. You'll get a chance to try it, but I'm going to show you where you can find practice for each of these problems we're going to do today. Again, there's no point in just tackling something one time and then moving on without being able to acknowledge where you currently are and what you can do to move forward. We want to put ourselves in a position to succeed. This is going to be the most important part today. So with that said, my math party people, let's go ahead. Again, I'll be talking about this for those of you in the program. I'll be showing you where to find it in the course, so don't worry about that. But remember, guys, my number one rule, try every single problem out. Got to try every single problem out, for the main reason being today's PSA. You can't grow by protecting your ego. And pretty much what I'm saying here with this is, go ahead in the chat box. Let me know if you've ever been in a position where you were too afraid to fail, so you didn't try at all. Who's been there? All right, a lot of us have been there. A lot of us have been there, right? And so here's the thing, guys. When it comes to trying to achieve a goal, it's almost impossible to have a perfect run. It's very, very unlikely that that's going to happen. If you can get something done or a goal achieved that you've never achieved before perfectly without any problems whatsoever, you probably picked a goal that was too easy. And right now, we're trying to pass the ASVAB. So we have to leave our egos at the door, especially when we come into class, every time you study, because you're going to have to get used to being wrong a lot in the beginning, but you also have to get used to asking why. And when we have our egos up and our barriers up, it's way too hard to want to ask why, as opposed to just getting down on yourself because you got it wrong or getting too excited because you got something right. In either case, you always want to ask why. And to do that, leave your ego at the door, replace that fear with curiosity, and let's have a good time. So if you appreciate that, type in hashtag ASVAB. Let's have a great Monday. Let's go. I can already feel it's going to be a great class today. And for those of you who didn't get a text message this morning for class, remember, so we had a little glitch with our text messaging service. I'm contacting the developers right now. Should be up by tomorrow morning. And then I emailed everybody as usual, though. And as always, if you don't have a text or email linked to you or sent to you, then you can always check the schedule page, sign in, and the link will be given to you if you're eligible. So no problem there. If you don't ever get the link, there it is. So with that said, my party people, welcome in. Happy Monday. Let's go ahead and have a great time. So today's class, like many before this one have gone, we're going to be going over arithmetic reasoning practice test questions. So remember, guys, stay curious, try your best, and let me remind you of what trying your best looks like. So before I even ask, has anybody here in recent times, I'm not going to say a month ago or 5 months ago, but in the past 2 weeks, taking the ASVAB or practicing, have you found yourself completely freezing up or just not even being interested anymore when a problem that you're trying seems a little out of your league? Have you found yourself just like, nah, screw this? Right? That happens. It happens. And like I mentioned in today's PSA, that really is attributed to most times that ego, which again is attributed to fear. But here's what we're going to do today. We're going to replace that fear or that ego with curiosity. 3 steps that I want you to follow. I don't care if this problem looks like rocket science to you or counting your ABCs with Barney. And I can't believe I said counting your ABCs, but forget that. Here are the 3 steps toward problem success here. And it's not just about, hey, this is a guarantee you'll get everything right. No, it's not. This is a guarantee that even if you get the question wrong, you'll be able to understand why you got it wrong. And if you get it right, you'll be able to reinforce and explain why you got it right. So that way, when you see the next similar problem, you're in a better position to succeed. Step number 1, in every single word problem, and this calls for beyond math, not just math, but in every single word problem, step 1 is this. Go to the question. Go to the question sentence. Don't start reading the problem from the very beginning like you know exactly what the information means or what the context is. Don't fall into that trap. That's the biggest trap that people fall for. So don't read the whole problem first. Start with the question sentence. So for example, if I go ahead and start reading the problem from start to finish, and it says, Ryan wants to measure how far it is from the beginning of the start line to the end from the circle. Okay. You may not know what all that's about. You might not be able to imagine the whole picture. But if you go straight to the question, and the question says, what's the area of the circle? The moment you read that question, area of a circle, hey, that's a math word right there. There's a formula to it. Looks like I might need pi times the radius squared. What's the radius? That's all I got to worry about now. Sometimes it may be that easy. But if you start reading through the information, you might not give yourself the chance to stay calm, cool, and collected because you're worried about, what are we going to do with the circle? Oh, okay. To the center of the circle to Ryan's car is 17 feet. You still might not know what you're doing with that until you read the question. So step number 1, guys, read the question. Step number 2, once you've read the question, you really want to sort through your information. That's where you want to either write everything down or note everything mentally, but that's where you're going to start making connections. That's step 3. The goal of the problem for every single problem is to say, hey, this is what we're going for. This is the information we have, and we can use this information we have by doing 1, 2, 3 to get to the answer. Once you're able to get to that point where you can talk about things casually like that, game over. Like, seriously, the sky's the limit for you. You won't be hesitating for long. And the thing is, even when it comes to problems you have no idea how to do, you'll still be able to identify, hey, is it the question I don't understand? Is it the information that I don't understand? Is it the overall concepts connection that I don't understand? Which one is it? Where am I falling short? And boom, you can take that as basically study fuel to move forward and keep working and making progress. Yes or no, everybody? Does that make any sort of sense? Good. Good, good, good. So one more time, if you want to screenshot this, please do. Step 1, read the question sentence. Step 2, gather your information. And step 3, again, take your screenshot. And step 3, then build your connection and then solve the problem. So with that, here we go. We're going to start off with our first question here. Yep, there it is. And also, what I'm going to do is right over here at the top of the next slide, as you see it coming down here, I'm going to remind you every single problem of the 3 steps toward problem success. What do you want? What's the question? What do you have? Your information. What's the connection? Build that roadmap from what you have to what you want. So let me get the clock started right over here for my party people. We're going to have 3 minutes for this first question. And let's have some fun. Let me bring this about. Timer's up. And 3, 2, and 1. When you're ready, just type ready in the chat box. Please don't reveal your answer. Do your best, and we'll move forward from there. All right, we're about halfway through. Keep doing your best, guys. So again, step one, read that question sentence right over here. And then step two, see what information you need to get that and see if you have that information. I'll leave it there. We got 1 minute. And that is time, my party people. So the way that we do things here is, hey, go ahead, give your answer if you have one. If your answer is a guess, put a question mark next to the answer. Go ahead and put a question mark next to it again if it's a guess. No shame in that. Booyah there. All right, cool. So, ton of answers in here. All right, good. I'm glad you guys are awake and alert and trying your best right here. Okay, cool. So, and even if you don't know, even if you're confused, again, take a guess. There's no shame in that because on the actual ASVAB, you don't get penalized for guessing. You know, if you're going to get a question wrong, you might as well give yourself the best guess available. So, with that, let's go ahead and try things out, my party people. So, I already highlighted the question here. Again, we want to start with the question. What is its perimeter? Everybody, is there a word in that red highlight that would make you say, "Ooh, that's a big clue"? In that red highlight, what's the one word in there that's just the biggest clue you could ever ask for? Perimeter, 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 formula, perimeter, perimeter. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Looks like we have spotted the elephant in the room, and cool. Now, just because you can spot a keyword doesn't mean that, hey, it's all kumbaya. No, it just means that, hey, we have a lead here. And remember, when it's in the question sentence, that's a pretty big lead. So, right here, we say, hey, what is its perimeter? Now, I'll be very straightforward with y'all. Can anybody tell me what perimeter is? What's perimeter? Let's just double check. Let's make sure. What is perimeter? All right, let's see some of these answers here. We have adding, we have area, we have border, we have around the shape. It's the around part, around the shape, the distance around the whole. Exactly. We're talking about the distance around the shape. If it's a circle, that's what it would look like, but it's called circumference. You could have a square, rectangle, triangle, pentagon, parallelogram, whatever you want. But perimeter, no matter what the shape is the distance around it. So, can anybody tell me what shape we're dealing with in this question? Rectangle. That's correct. Right over here, guys. The second word, is rectangular. A rectangular window pane covers blah, 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 blah. If it is 3 feet wide, blah, whatever. But we saw the shape there. Notice how I'm being inquisitive and taking it step by step. I don't care about those numbers. I don't care about those numbers yet. All I care about is how can I get to perimeter? And I need to know the shape that I'm dealing with because everybody, if I'm being asked to find the perimeter of a rectangle, is there a formula for that? It is. Okay, cool. Can anybody spit that formula out for me in the chat box? I would really appreciate that, right? Go ahead, please. Okay, great. So Ricardo, Kai, thank you. P equals 2L plus 2W. Damien, thank you. For someone who hates geometry, you know your formula. So with that, let's write that down. The perimeter is what we're looking for. And we have 2L plus 2W. Cool. And so if you're having trouble memorizing formulas, I mean, the best way that I can go about it is, hey, make flashcards and review them, review them, review them, review them, review them, and then use them, use them, use them, and use them. If you're in the program already with me, you're going to see that the sections that have formulas typically will have a section at the top titled flashcards. And then you get into using them all day. So with that, everybody, can anybody tell me in this formula right over here, what does the L stand for? What does the W stand for? What does that mean again? Just help us warm up here. What is the L? What is the W? Oh, length and width. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's go ahead and make sure that that's known. So over here, it really doesn't matter which one you choose, but I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to say this is the length and this is the width. Now, as always, I want to do you guys a service. If anybody here is wondering, again, same old question, how do I memorize these formulas? How do I make sure I don't blank out on the test? The last thing we want to do is blank out on the test. You have to know how the formula is built. Knowing why the formula is the way it is generally a very good thing to do if you want to memorize something or commit it to memory. So here's what I mean. Notice how we have 2L and 2W, not just L plus W, 2L plus 2W. Where that comes from is just the shape itself. When you check out a rectangle, you don't just have one length. You have the length at the bottom, and it's the same thing up top. That's where the 2L comes from, because you're adding up two of those lengths, the top and the bottom. Same thing for the width. Everyone, if this is labeled width on the right side, what other side is going to be labeled with the width? Help me out there. Absolutely, the left side. And so again, understanding where and why these formulas make sense, again, it goes a long way to memorizing it and committing it to memory. We have over here two of these lengths, two of these widths, and when you add it all together, 2 lengths plus 2 widths. Does that make a little more sense for anybody here who's having a little trouble with this specific formula? Good. Good. So with that, let's go ahead and see what we got to do. Everyone, we already said it. The perimeter formula, again, what we're looking for in this problem, it means we have to plug in whatever the length is, plug in whatever the width is, and boom, we'll be good. So let's see if we can sort through the information here and find what the length is and what the width is. Let's read. So now we're going to gather our information. Now we're in the second step. A rectangular window pane covers 15 square feet on its surface. Everybody, quick question. Is that going to be the length or the width, the 15 square feet on its surface? What's that going to be, the length or the width? Let's see. Interesting. We have all but 2 people here saying that now we have 3, 4 disagreeing with length or width. And they're correct. This is actually the area. This right here in blue, that's area. There are a couple of things that give it away. If we're talking about length or width or height, we're going to have those units just be regular old feet. It's just going to be 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, 25 feet, 15 feet, not 15 square feet. When we're talking about square feet, that word right there, that is representing area. And another way that we can tell, we're covering the window. Again, if you're talking about the length or width or height, you're talking about its sides. When we're talking about area, we're talking about the space covered by the shape. And they give you clues to tell you that. We have covers, square feet, and on its surface. 3 big clues letting you know that that's not either length or width or perimeter, that is specifically area. So far, before I continue, are we in agreement that the 15 given to us here, that is area? Okay, good. Sounds good. So with that said, let's move forward and let's see if we have any information here. Because again, don't get distracted. We want the length and we want the width. We need both of these to be successful here. We have to plug both of those in to be successful. We need those. So let's keep reading. It says, if it is 3 feet wide, everybody, what's that going to be? 3 feet wide, what can we attribute that to? What can we attribute that to? Right. We can attribute that to the width. And so that's what we'll do. So let's highlight that right here. 3 feet wide. Perfect. So my width equals 3. But everybody, we have just gone through all of the information. Where might someone get frustrated at this point in the problem? Where might someone get frustrated with where we are right now? Let's think like a teacher here. Right, Olivia, exactly. That's a very honest, straightforward, and true response. Most people will get frustrated with finding the length. Do you see that, everybody? How the problem tells you find perimeter, but it doesn't give you all of the ingredients of the formula. It didn't give you all of the ingredients. You don't have the length. And you know what the common mistake that most people will make here is? Who wants to guess? Who wants to guess? And I'll give an ASVAB short away to someone who guesses this correctly. What, at this point of the problem, what is the most common mistake that someone might, Damien, correct? They might go ahead and hope and assume that that 15 that we have up here, they're going to be so desperate to find an answer that they might take that 15 and just plug it in as the length. Yeah, that's what people will do. So Damien, congratulations. I already have your phone number. Shoot me a text reminding me. I'll get your information and I'll ship you a shirt for free. I got you. So congratulations on that, man. But yes, that's the number one issue that people will face, not trusting what is true and going with their hopes and guts and whatever the heck might lead them in the wrong direction. Again, this is math. This is logic. There's truth to it. Learn it. So finally, so with that, hey, you paid attention and you won. So here's what we're going to do, everybody. We're at this point. We need length. We've already talked about that. Now the question is, detour, how can I find the length given what I have? It's not going to be right here. Nope. We're going to have to look at the other piece of information that we're given right there. Everybody, is the area of a rectangle made up of the length? Is the length included in that formula? Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to write this in red here. Use this to find the length. Use the extra info. Write this down. Use the extra info to find what you need. Again, don't just look at a problem and hope that the numbers there all work. No, confirm that they work. It's not about what the numbers are. It's about what the numbers mean. Here we have the area. Would someone be so kind and give me the formula for the area of a rectangle in the chat box? Please do. Give me the whole thing. Area equals what? Thierry, thank you. And you gave me the converse there to find the length by itself. I appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, that's going to be area equals length times width. So let me write that formula down right here for you. And again, this is specifically for a rectangle. We have length times width. My party people, we know what the area is. It's 15. We know what the width is. Everybody, what's the width again? Hit me. Yeah, that width is going to be 3. Excellent. It's clear to see those of you participating, you're going to be doing so well. Yes, that's going to be 3. So we'll have ourselves the length times 3. And if you just read that like a regular old sentence in English, my party people, what times 3 is 15? Now, you don't even need to think backwards for this problem. It's right there in your face. 15 equals some number L times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. Boom. L is 5. L equals 5. So you can look at it like that, or remember that you can think about it as working backwards. If you divide the 3 away, if you take the 3 out by dividing it on both sides, you'll have 15 divided by 3, which is 5, and you'll have the L by itself. But there it is. We've got what we needed. We have everything we need. Is the answer going to be 5, everybody? Are we going to circle this right there and say that we're done? No. That's another common mistake that people make. The moment that they calculate anything, they think that if they see that number in the answers, hey, that's going to be a great day. No, we got to make sure we know exactly what we're doing. So remember that the beginning of the problem said find the perimeter. And so with that, here we go. Perimeter equals, our length again was 5. So let's write that down right there. So we have 2 times 5 plus 2 times 3. All I'm doing here at this step is plugging in what I have into the formula that I said I needed to complete from the very get-go. We're here. At this point, we've plugged in, do the math, and now we can affirm and guarantee that we're done. Before I even do the solution of the calculation, are we in agreement here? We have got to make sure that we know that what we're calculating will give us the answer. If not, we need to make sense of it somehow, because it'll get you out of this trap right here thinking that 5 is the answer. So here we go. Perimeter equals 2 times 5, which is going to be 10. 2 times 3, which is going to be 6. My party people, what's 10 plus 6? 16. Right on. And there we go. That's going to be 16 feet. Again, perimeter is just distance, just going distance around. So it's just regular old feet. And so bam, there's your final answer. And for those of you that were able to show your work in that way, congratulations to you. For those of you that got it right but can't explain it, or got it wrong, had no clue what was going on, I want to go ahead and invite you to follow that 3-step process, because this is how you can basically tell yourself where you got confused. Again, step 1, were you able to identify immediately that the perimeter of a rectangle is what we're finding? Step 2, were you able to identify that the 15 was the area of the rectangle and that they gave you the width? And then step 3, were you able to determine that, hey, I need the length. I can take a step back, go to the area, plug things in, solve it, find the length, and then plug it back in and get the solution. I know that seems complicated when I dish it all out one by one, but that's the process you want to go through to then figure out, hey, oh man, I didn't know that was area. Learn something new. Let's see if we can get that right next time. Or, oh, I didn't know that I could use the area to find the length to plug it back in. It felt like a lot of steps, but I see the right way now. Is anybody relating to me with what I just said in either of those two cases? Oh, good. You guys are really participating today. I love this. Good. Cool. So for those of you who are in the program, I want to make sure I identify exactly where to get the practice that you need for this. So again, this is arithmetic reasoning. Again, tomorrow we're doing math knowledge. But over here, the top right corner, this is AR unit. Who knows what unit this is? We may, Kaya, at some point. Who knows what unit this is? For those of you in AR, incorrect. That is solving equations word problems. This is unit 8. This is unit 8 in arithmetic reasoning, and I want to show you what to do on the back end. So give me one moment here. There it is behind me. So quick question, can y'all see my screen? This is what the website looks like once you log in. Cool. So here's how it works, my party people. Here's how it works. To find more practice for area and perimeter word problems like we just did today, all you got to do, hey, log into your account on the website. It'll look like this. You're just going to go ahead and click the Arithmetic Reasoning Bootcamp course. Boom. That's going to open up your dashboard and show you everything you've done and everything you haven't done yet. So for this brand new test dummy account, it's going to say that everything's not done. But then all I got to do is scroll down. Cool. Unit 8. That's going to be area and perimeter. And we're set to party. If I want to go straight through and look at the study guide, look at the lessons, look at the materials for it, click that white button right there. If you want to go ahead and try out a practice test with all area and perimeter problems, you'll click right there. Super straightforward, to the point. Once you click it, it'll load up right behind me, and you're good to go. This is the practice test that I was talking about, and you can you can be really assured here that once you start this and you go ahead and take the whole thing, you're going to see a feedback report with step-by-step solutions. And then when you want to try it out again, you absolutely can, because it's going to randomly generate new problems for you. And I can tell you right now, it'll probably take about 15 times until you get the same question again. So with that, let me just go ahead and show you what that feedback looks like. Boom, cool, I took it. I didn't get any questions right because I didn't try. I look at the feedback report, and you'll see exactly as I'm talking to you right now. What do you want? Okay, great. What do we have? And hey, what's the connection then? And then we build all of that out right here. And I show you how to get everything done with every single problem, step by step, all lined up for you. And this is for all of the units. So I want to make sure that you guys are aware that you have all the materials that you need in the program. We don't really need to look anywhere else if you're already in. Just make sure you're following the process and doing what you got to do. All right. So yes or no, everybody, for those of you in the program, does that make sense? Perfect. All right. Sounds good, guys. All right, sweet. So Edward, you're going to get an average of 2 minutes and 26 seconds per question on the arithmetic reasoning, about. So I'll give you 3 minutes on some questions, 2 minutes for some, but yeah. So with that, let me go and scroll down. Any other questions there? All right, cool. So with that, let me go ahead and bring this back over here. We're going to get into this next question. Let me just double check on which one it is. Oh, I love this one. All right, so for this one, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. This one's less math and more comprehension. So I'm really excited to see how you guys do with this one. I'm going to give you, again, 2 minutes for this next one. But remember, guys, do your best. Read the question first, sort that information, and see what you can do. So timer is going to be starting in 3, 2, and 1. Give it a shot, my party people. Have fun. I see those answers flying in, guys. Keep up the great work. And again, wait until the time is up to reveal your answers. Just type ready in the chat box. And that is time. Go and put those answers in. And if you're taking a guess, hey, put a question mark next to that guess. It's all good. All right, cool. Got some few answers there flowing in. Okay, plenty of answers. I love the participation, guys. There we go. Keep that up. We got a couple more answers to go before I get started. Come on. We got about 12 of y'all who need to give an answer. And I see y'all on YouTube as well. Nice work so far, guys. All right, cool. So looking at what we've got, let me bring myself back in. Booyah and booyah. All right. So let's try this out here. Everybody, this problem doesn't necessarily have you do like a whole ton of math, but it pretty much has you analyze the features of a situation. Has anybody here ever encountered a problem like that where they have you basically fill in a formula or make an equation or make sense of the situation? Have we had a problem like that before? Cool. And some other ways that it could be given to you, it might sound like this. It might sound like, hey, which of the following equations could be solved to find, they could frame it like that. But long story short, they're pretty much saying, hey, represent the situation that we're giving you with an equation. So here is where you'll find a problem like this. This is going to be an arithmetic reasoning, unit 6. This is going to be equations word problems, okay? Equations word problems. So go ahead and write that down for yourself. Booyah. And so let's go ahead and just see what's going on. First thing we're going to do, go straight to the question statement and see what it is they're asking you to figure out. Because honestly, if I saw this the first thing, when I looked at the problem, I might be thinking to myself, what the heck is going on? With more experience, you might immediately recognize that you want to represent the situation, but we still want to go through that cadence, that step-by-step process. Again, giving yourself the best chance to handle an unfamiliar situation. So, step one, right here, read the question sentence. And it says, which of the following, all right, which of the following equations correctly relates the total cost of a trip, Y, in dollars, and the number of kilometers driven, X. This is a really, really big piece of information right here. Y represents dollars, and X represents the kilometers driven. So I'm going to write that down for you. Basically, we want to pick the equation. And they already tell you that Y equals, again, total cost of the trip. Total cost of the trip, Y in dollars. So it's total trip cost. And then X is going to be the miles driven. So kilometers driven. Before I continue, yes or no, is that the truth? We're asked to pick the equation that represents the situation. Y is the total cost. X is the number of kilometers. We don't need to, say whether we're scared at this point or not. All I need you to do is just say, hey, does the question itself, what you're trying to figure out, make sense? And again, you want to ask yourself these questions, again, calmly and pragmatically, because you want to know what you don't know. If that makes sense and you know that we're trying to find the equation that represents the situation, good. You know what you're looking for. Now the next question is going to be, okay, do you understand the information that's given to you so you can create the equation? Let's see. Let's read through the info. So step two, let's use blue here to write down the info. A taxi driver charges a flat fee of $10 and $4.50 per kilometer driven. Okay, that seems like two pieces of information were given to us, and that is a fact. So let's break it down into one thing at a time and write down, again, one thing at a time. Number one, I see here it says flat fee of $10. And again, we're talking about a taxi. We're talking about this driver and how he makes his money. So I see right there, flat fee equals $10. And then it says in purple, I'm going to highlight this, $4.50 per kilometer driven. So each kilometer or per kilometer, it says, hey, $4.50. And Damien, great job pointing that out. I want to point that out in the chat box here. Damien says, hey, $4.50 per kilometer is a rate, and that would be M. So before I get into what M means, I want to go ahead and affirm that, yes, that is a rate, but I want to ask everybody here, why is 4.50, $4.50 per kilometer? Why is that a rate? How do we know that that's a rate? Thank you, guys. Yep. Flooding the chat box there. Yeah, the word per. The word per is what gives it away. There it is. So if you didn't know, the word per connects to units. Notice how we're talking about money and miles. $4.50 per mile. The word per connects to units, and that always, always, always signals a rate. Typically, you look at it as miles per hour, dollars per hour, or dollars per month, right? But in this situation, hey, we're connecting money and miles or distance. It's still going to be a rate. So let me just highlight that there for us. Yeah, that's going to be a rate. And then here's the next thing I want to point out. The letter M that Damien mentioned. The reason that Damien may have pointed out the letter M is because he may have noticed that this is a linear equation. Everybody, if I look at the answer choices, what do you notice about the form that these problems are in? Who recognizes the base formula to all of these answer choices? Who recognizes what it is? Y equals what? What's the base form of the formula? Let's see who knows. Yeah. Y equals mx plus b. Yes or no? Has anybody ever heard of that? Y equals mx plus b. Let's write that down here. That's the form that all of these are in. And so if you have not had a chance to refresh on this in quite some time, or you really want to understand the pieces of the puzzle here, let's figure this out. So for those of you who want a quick crash course, here we go. B is what happens in the beginning. This is your initial amount. So I'm going to write that out for you. That's your initial amount. Your M, that's going to be the rate. The reason that it's being attached to the X is because, think about it like this. Distance equals rate times time. Typically, that's how it looks with the DRT problem. This is very similar to that, where your rate is always being multiplied by that time variable or your independent variable, whichever way you want to call it. But to keep things simple, just know that your rate is always multiplied by the X. Mx, M times X, that's what's happening here. So M is your rate. X is typically your time or how long you're going for. And Y is the result after all that time. So here, X and Y are pretty much locked in together. So it's typically time or what happens, the lengths that you're going through. And then Y is the result after all that time. So let's write that down for ourselves. That way we can give ourselves that opportunity to see where these pieces in this problem really connect with this formula. So take a second here. I can't type fast enough. Hey, no worries. If you're in the program, you're good. You're going to have the screen, or you can screenshot this too. I really want to make sure you focus on understanding the gist of what we're going through. So we zoom out just a little bit so you can see all that. Give you a few moments. And now we're going to get into, again, what these letters might be. And before we continue, let me just go ahead and show this here. Which letters are we only focusing on? Which letters do we only care about here? Because it looks like we don't have to find them all. Which ones are the ones that we want to find the values of? Yeah, M and B. Notice that M and B are the only ones here that we care about. M and B are the only ones we care about. So let's see what they are. Everyone, what did I say? M is your what? What's that R word again? It's literally right there. M is your what? M is your rate. Sounds good. So M is your rate. That's what we'll do. Let me zoom out just a little bit to still give you the view of everything. Right there. All right, so let's try it out here. We have Y equals, my rate was what? 450. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Lewis. So we have 450. Then we have the X again, plus, and what was the initial amount? And in this problem, when we think about initial amount, what we're really thinking about, guys, is, hey, is there something that's there from the very beginning? Is there something that's there before everything starts? And yeah, that's going to be 10. It's going to be the $10 flat fee that this taxi driver charges just for someone to get in his taxi. So I hope that makes sense there. That's all he charges just to get in. And then every kilometer, 450, 450, 450. And so there we go. In a nice, easy, and kind of relaxed way. You don't have to include the dollar sign, but this is your formula right there. 450x plus 10, or in this case, 4.5, if that answer showed it. But your answer here is B. So how are we feeling about this one? Was this one easier or harder for you compared to the first one? Yeah, pretty straightforward, right? So, I mean, I could have switched up all the answer choices. I could have made it 4.5x plus 10, 4.5x minus 10, negative 4.5x plus 10, negative 4.5x minus 10. I could have switched it up for you with the positives and negatives, and it's possible that you might see a problem like that sometime in the future. Who knows? Naeli, no problem. Both hard and easy. I did 1450. Ah, Olivia, so you didn't realize that we weren't trying to find a number at the end. We were just trying to find the equation to represent the situation. And that's why, again, reading the question is so important because it says it right here. Which of the following equations? Way too important there, right? We don't want to miss that important information. Sounds good, Krishan. An iPhone sounds good. iPhone, I know that you gave me your name earlier. If you want to give it again, I'll replace your name for you. Hey, and Kaya, it's easy to overthink something when you haven't been there that many times. We've all been there, especially with brain teasers and riddles. You know, the first time that you hear a riddle, you might overthink it for 20 hours, but then once you hear the answer, you're like, wow. You know, it happens all the time. So, with that, let's go ahead and before we dive into the next one, I want to remind every single one of you, especially the 40 people that signed up for the program last week, which is probably a record at this point. But I want to go ahead and tell you what your options are when you just start the program out. Remember, the three steps to math success: math basics, AR and MK courses, and then practice tests. So I just want to show you this in the background here. I'm going to go right back to what the program looks like, all the way back here. And so remember, when you're in the program and you sign in, again, step one, math basics. If your math basics isn't complete, you may not see the AR and MK. So the first step is to finish your math basics progress book. It covers all of the fundamental math you need to know, the basic math, just the processes, just the calculations that you need to know to make sure that you're ready for the AR and MK. Once you get all your check marks and all of these, sweet, great, congratulations, because from there, then you move into the arithmetic reasoning and the math knowledge courses. Again, they'll be put up for you right there. Boom, that's step two. The AR and MK have everything lined up for you from start to finish. And then step three, as you can see this pop up telling you, then you can move down to your AFQT practice test course. Great. You click that and you'll go ahead and see where you're at. And if you see for the arithmetic reasoning, you'll have yourself 5 practice tests that you can take, nice and easy, and see, again, truly where things are going for you. And you're good. 16 questions, your time to 2 minutes and 26 seconds per question, 39 minutes, and do your best. So yes or no, does that make sense for those of you that are in the program? Step one, finish the math basics. Step two, finish your AR and MK courses. Step three, take those practice tests and get test ready. Does that make sense to y'all? Good. Do what you got to do, guys. We had a record number of people pass last week as well. I want to make sure we continue that trend and break that record week to week. So here we go. Next question coming up. Let me take a look here. Great. I'm going to give you 3 minutes for this one. 3 minutes for this one. Let me switch that timer up for you. There we go. All right. So let's go and try this out, my party people. Starting in 3, 2, and 1. Keep it going, guys. What do you want? What do you have? What's the connection? And 2, 1, and time. Go ahead and put a question mark next to your answer. Go ahead and put a question mark next to it if it is a guess. I really just want to see, again, from me as a teacher, I want to see where you currently are in your reasoning and how confident you are with the problem at hand. Because we haven't done too many of these simple and compound interest problems. So I want to see where we are, like how we react to something like this, and really, again, just find the holes in our game, patch them up, and see how we can do down the road. So, to do that, my party people, first, I want to go ahead and give you what type of question this is. If you couldn't tell from the wording here, this is a simple interest question, and this falls under the category of percent word problems. So, write this down if you need to. This is going to be Unit 4, Arithmetic Reasoning, Unit 4. Right there. So with that said, here's what percent problems really come down to. You have regular percent word problems where you're either trying to find the percent, the original amount, or the result. It could say, hey, Mary saved 30% of her monthly allowance. And if Mary's allowance was $400, what did she save? Very clear-cut percent question. They could flip-flop it and say, hey, Mary saved 15% of her allowance, and that means that she ended up saving $800. What is Mary's allowance? So finding the original amount. So there's a bunch of those types. Then you have tax and discount questions, where I think we can all agree is the most familiar, but also a little tricky when it comes to applying it. But it's the most recognizable when we talk about taxes, discounts, final prices. Then we have simple and compound interest, and this is teetering on the harder side of percent word problems. So if you felt like this one was particularly tough, hey, you're not you're not alone. Plenty of people in the same boat, but let's understand how we can get this done. Everybody, no matter what, even if we were confused, what's the first thing we always do again? Right, we definitely want to read the question. And Krishan, I got you. Cool. So pay attention, Krishan, I got you. So read the question. First thing we always want to do. So what it says here, my party people, is this. How much did Patricia initially invest in the account? Everybody, when we read that, how much did Patricia initially invest in the account? What's a word that you associate with initially? Right. What was there in the beginning? What was there at first? What was there before all the action? Right. So if we can imagine that, even if we don't know what the exact math is yet, because if all you read was the question, we don't know what the exact math is yet. But if you read the question, you can imagine what's going on. How much did Patricia initially invest in the account? It sounds like Patricia made an investment. We want to know what that beginning investment was. Does that make sense so far? Even if we haven't gotten to the math yet, does that make sense so far? We want what she initially put into the account, the beginning amount. Great. Great. So we're on our way to success there. Again, the 3 steps, you want to take these very slow and very seriously as you start off with your practice. Eventually, you'll be flying through it. In real time, I would take less than 3 seconds on that first part. Step 2. Now we're going to look at the information to see what's going on, to see if we can tell what kind of math is going on here. So once I read this, after investing some money into a simple interest savings account, right there, everyone, is that a very ultra exclusive specific math terminology here, or math term? Simple interest? Yes, it is. Yes, it absolutely is. Simple interest, just like area of a rectangle or volume of this shape, or distance, rate, time. They have formulas. So does simple interest. There are 2 formulas you want to know for simple interest. And the first one is pretty self-explanatory, but I do want to say it regardless. So here's the 2 formulas. Number 1, the first formula, and again, we're talking simple interest. Let me zoom in here. So for simple interest, and make sure that's straight. Your your first formula is going to be this. Your total amount is going to be equal to your principal, which is the initial amount. And now actually, yeah, we could say I for initial, but I could say P for principal. Principal, again, is your initial amount. And I'll go ahead and write that down for you. It's your principal plus your interest. Okay? And your principal, again, is the beginning amount. So that's number one. This formula is, again, it's pretty self-explanatory. When we're talking about investing, the final amount in the account is going to be what you initially put in plus the interest that you earned. You add those two things together, that's your total amount in the account. In this problem, that's not going to be very necessary to use, but in other problems, it could be, especially with questions that ask you, what's the final amount? Next, number two, this is the formula that we're going to use specifically in this question. This formula, who knows it? It's pretty much 4 letters in the short form. Who knows what the simple interest formula is? I equals what? Danielle, appreciate you. I equals PRT. I equals PERT or I equals PRT. Pretty much what that stands for is this. So I equals PRT. Here's what all of this stands for. This stands for your interest. And again, this is for simple interest. The interest that you earned is equal to the principal times your rate, which is your interest rate, times time. So I'll give you a second to write that down. Again, you have 2 formulas here. The first one being pretty self-explanatory to get the total amount. The total is just the beginning amount plus the interest. Put that together, that's the total amount. But number 2, the interest that you earned in simple interest is going to be a product multiplication of the principal times the rate times the time, all laid out right here. So once you have that written down, type ready in the chat box, because we're going to go ahead and show you, once you know the formula, this is actually pretty straightforward, but you got to know the formula. If you don't know the formula, you put yourself at a little bit of a disadvantage. So take a moment, guys. Take a moment, take a screenshot, or go ahead and write it down if you're a quick writer. Great question, Kenny. So everybody who is done writing or is about to be done writing, Kenny's question was an interesting one. Can you do this problem with y equals mx plus b? You might think that. You might think that. It might be very tempting to think that, but the answer is no. For the reason being that this rate that we're talking about is not a physical or a tangible rate. It's a percentage rate. So typically when we talk about rates, we're talking about, hey, we have this beginning amount, we have this rate going on, and then we have a final amount, which again, it might seem like that's what's going on. But when it comes to percentages, we specifically go with this, I equals PRT. Okay? And so essentially that was a long-winded way of saying, yes, you technically could use y equals mx plus b, technically, but you have to be very careful with knowing what goes where, or else you can go wrong really fast. So again, when you're talking about interest, simple interest, specifically go with this. Cool. So let's check this out here, my party people. So here we go. Interest equals principal times rate times time. Knowing what we know so far, let's see if we can pull the information into the right places. So here we go. It says, hey, after investing some money into a simple interest savings account that earns 6% per year, let's highlight that one right there. Everybody, what's that going to be? 6% per year. What is that going to be? That's the rate. That is our interest rate. Absolutely. Let me actually do ourselves a favor here. Let me go ahead and take this and move it on over here. But yeah, our rate is going to be 6% for sure. Next, over 18 years. Everybody, which one does that sound like? The interest, the principal, the time? 18 years. What does that sound like? Sounds like time. I agree. I agree. Let me actually grab a different color there. Let's grab green. 18 years, that is the time. All right, great. And then it says, hey, after all this time, after the 18 years, Patricia saw a gain of $28,080 in the account. Okay, everybody, what's the $28,080 going to be? Is that the principal or is it the interest? Which one is that going to be? Yeah, that's going to be interest. Because notice that if it was the principal, that would be what happened at the beginning. And that's actually what we're looking for. What this gives us, a gain of $28,080, that's the interest that you earned. That's what you earned on the account. Before I continue, is that making sense to all my party people out there in terms of understanding the formula and how to pick apart the information to get to what you need? All right. So guess what, everybody? When it comes to problems that specifically use formulas, one of the main advantages that you get is once you have set up your formula correctly, you're good. Absolutely good. You're ready to tackle this. You're ready to do the right, make the right moves and get the right answers. So with that said, here we go. So let's solve this. 28,080 equals my principal times everybody. What do we always have to do when we have a percent included in an equation? Got to convert it. 6%. Turn that into a decimal. What is that going to be? 0.06. That is correct. 0.06. Again, to turn a decimal or a percent into a decimal, we're going to move that decimal place 2 times to the left. So if it starts here, we'll go 1, 2, and so that'll be 0.06 right there, as you see. And then lastly, we have the 18 years. So we'll go ahead and just bring that 18 down, nice and easy. Great. All right, boom. So what do we do next? Well, we're going to solve this thing. It looks like on the right side, we have 0.06 times 18. Let's go ahead and kind of break that down for ourselves. What is 0.06 times 18? What is that going to be? Let's find out right over here. So here we go. We have 8 times 6. That's going to be 48. Then we have ourselves 1 times 6, which is 6. Carry the 4. That's going to be a 10. Everybody, at the end of the day, what do we do with that decimal, or the total number of decimals? Because we kind of ignored that in the beginning. What do we do with those decimals again, just as a refresher? Yeah, we're going to bring them back. So if we see that here, we have none here. So none right here. And then 1, 2 here. So we have a total of 2 decimals that we're going to bring back. And that's going to be 1, 2. 1.08 is that number right there. So if I bring this back, we have 28,080 equals 1.08 times P. I'll let you guys take it in for a moment. Again, all we did was we combined the 0.06 times 18, and we made that 1.08. So the last thing we're going to do here, take the 1.08, we're going to divide that on both sides. Once we divide it on both sides, boom, we get that P by itself, that principal amount, the beginning amount. We'll get that by itself and we'll be good. So with that, let's divide it. Divide by 1.08, divide by 1.08. Sweet. Now that we're here, this is going to be a really good time for me to mention how to divide by a decimal. Is anybody here looking at this right now? This part right there. Anybody looking at this and saying, how am I supposed to divide that? Anybody here freaking out just a little bit? Don't worry, it's coming. Don't worry. And I have a nice strategy for you. Here's the thing. Has anybody here ever heard of the statement with fractions? Whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I got y'all. Let me show you a nice little trick, which isn't really a trick. It's just it's formalities. But what we can do here is this. Let me just make this a little smaller so I can do this right here at the bottom. So what we can do is if we have 28,080 divided by 1.08, we can go ahead and take the decimals and we can move them the same number of times in the same direction. All this is like saying, hey, with fractions, if I wanted to multiply the top and the bottom by 10, I could. If I wanted to multiply the top and the bottom by 100, I could. It'll keep the fraction the same. If you want to move the decimal to the right for both of them one time each, perfectly okay. Moving the decimal over to the right one time is the same as multiplying by 10. So it's all good. It's all good. I'm going to move this over 2 times to the right over here. And I'll do that same thing here. 2 times to the right. And what you'll see is if I fill in those gaps with a 0, you'll see that this is actually going to be the same thing as 280,800 divided by 108. Now, even though that is a massively larger number up top, you're now dividing by a whole number, and this makes it that much more possible. How do I know this? Well, because now you can turn this, I'm going to do this over here, you can now turn this into a long division problem. 108 divided into 280,800, 1, 2, 3, 4, excuse me, 1, 2, 3, before I make a mistake. And now we can go ahead and get that done. So take a quick screenshot of this side before I continue, because now I'm actually going to do the math right above me. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I have so many glasses here. I'm having trouble picking one to wear. But with that, let's go ahead and try this out. So first things first, my party people. Let's ask ourselves, how many times does 108 go into 2? 0. Okay. How many times does 108 go into 28? 0. How many times does 108 go into 280? 2 times. So what I'll do is I'll put a 2 right up there. And everybody, what's 108 times 2? 216. So what I will subtract is 216. Okay, great. 280 minus 216, what's that going to be, everybody? Because we have a 0 minus 6, not going to work. So 80 minus 16, what's that going to be? 64. That's right. Okay, cool. So we have our 64 right over here. Before I continue, do any of these answers start with a 2? Because like if I have a 2 there, do any of these answers start with a 2 or not with a 2? Well, they all start with a 2. Every single one of them. So that's actually a bad question to ask. We're not going to be able to make much progress on that. All right, well, let me just grab one letter or one number. So I'll just show you that all of them start with 2, so there's nothing to eliminate. However, the next number is 6, 6, 5, and 6. Let's see what we got going on. I don't want to do any more work than I have to. So with that, let's bring down the 0, or that 8, excuse me. And let's see what we got. Everybody, how many times does 108 go into 648? Oh, 6 exact times? Okay, cool. So let me ask you guys how you did that. Oh, wait, I know, mental math. I see the majority of y'all who have been in my program answer that very quickly. Because what you can tell is if you want to go from 108 to 648, well, maybe 100 times 6 gets you 600. But does the 8 times 6 give you 48? Yeah, it does. So what that means is with some mental math really quick, 108 times 6, it is exactly 648, putting yourself in a really good position here. Bam, 6, subtract 648. That creates a clean 0 there. And guess what happens? This 1, 2, 3 zeros, that's going to be right here. 1, 2, 3. Your answer is going to be $26,000 is what was initially invested into the account. And boom, your answer is A. Right away. So I know this one was it felt like a lot of math. And that's because once you have the formula, like the hardest part is really sorting out the formula and making sure that you have the right piece of information in each place. So that way, once you start the math, there's no looking back, there's no second guessing. You know that once you solve this, you are done. And yes, that process was a little long winded because we did an initial multiplication right here to get the 1.08. And then we did a large, long division here with a decimal divisor, which we had to do a little bit of work with there too. So notice how once we had the formula set up, it was just knowing how to deal with numbers. And that's why, guys, I can't stress it enough. If you're in the program, the math basics is the first thing you need to do because it'll guarantee that if you complete the math basics, all 28 of those speed drills, this won't be something you're going to struggle with or something you'll need to pause on for too long. Maybe it'll be a quick, oh yeah, okay, cool. And there's not going to be a sweat. Has anybody here felt like that since finishing the math basics, where you look at decimal division or multiplication like it's not scary? It might still take long, but you are no longer nervous about it. Right on. And again, I'm letting my students speak for me. I'm not going to put any words in their mouth. It really is that way. If you put in the work and the effort, these things get easier by the concept. And I got you, Keandra. Thank you. Thank you as well, Shane. Appreciate that. It's all good, Kyle. The goal is to get ready to be timed, and we have to continue putting our best foot forward and get better one day at a time, one concept at a time. It's going to take time. And I know at the beginning, it's always going to be frustrating. So just to give you an example of what's going on in my own life right now, my two best friends, they asked me to get married, or they asked me to marry them, excuse me. They asked me to marry them. I got ordained, and I'm going to be giving the ceremonial speech and then a speech at the wedding itself. But I'm being asked to memorize a speech, a 2-page speech that I haven't memorized anything in a minute. So from the beginning, what I've told myself is, all right, cool, let's go ahead and break it down. I'll break it down section by section. I'll memorize the lines for the beginning part, then the next part, then the next one, and I'll practice every day. I'll practice in the mirror. I'll practice visualizing what it's going to be like talking in front of all these people, even though my profession is talking in front of people. But I want to make sure that this goes as well as it can. And so everybody, it doesn't matter what walk of life you're in. When you have goals, you can break those big goals down into small, simple steps, and then you get to work. All right. So with that, let's go ahead. Man, I know I got this because I'm trusting myself to do the work. All right. So let's go ahead and take a little peek here at this next one. All right. For this next one, everybody, I'm going to give you 2 minutes for this next one. Shane, I actually considered running a marriage business because I feel like I could get some funny speeches in there, maybe even go viral. Who knows? But I digress. Let's go ahead and get this timer back up for 2 minutes, excuse me, for this next one. Let's get back into concentration mode. And there we go. I'm out of the picture. And 3, 2, 1. Let's attack this one, everybody. Start with the question. Start with the question. I guarantee you things will get a little easier for you. 2, 1, and time. Go ahead, guys, put those answers in. And as always, if you're confused or haven't got the chance to finish the problem yet, take a guess. Take a guess. Take a guess. All right, looks like there haven't been many guesses here. Okay, cool. So with that said, looks like you guys are pretty excited about answering this one. Zaro, this one was easy. Hey, that means that there's a question on the ASVAB you know how to do. But party people, have you seen a question like this on the test before? As easy as it might seem, have you seen a question like this before? Yeah. Like, I can guarantee you that at the very least, it's typically more than this, but I can guarantee you at least one question on the ASVAB will be as easy as this. But here's the thing. The only reason that you might consider this easy is simply because you recognize the keywords and know exactly what you need to do. That's what makes it easy. There's less time between reading the actual problem and understanding what to do. That's what makes things easy. And with experience, you can bridge that gap from what is difficult and to what is supposedly easy. So, practice makes perfect. Here we go. The question reads, what is the area of the frame? And the moment that you see that, what is the area of, I don't care. The moment that you see what is the area, that's when I'm asking, area of what? Area of what? What's the S word that we're looking for that's going to tell us the formula? Area of, what's that S word? Not square feet. I can see where you're coming from with that, but not quite. We want to ask ourselves, yes, Olivia, that's correct. Area of what shape? Everybody, is it true that different shapes have different formulas for the area? Is that true? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So the instant that I see that I'm looking for the area of something, I got to ask myself, hey, man, what's that shape? What shape are we dealing with? Because now that I know what shape we're dealing with, now I can give myself the opportunity to write the formula down, see what information I need, and get it done. Look at how quick this can be. Area, read the question, rectangle right there, booyah. So I'm asking myself, what's the area of a rectangle, which is going to be the length times width. Before I even get into the rest of the information, all I care about is figuring out what the length and the width are, because once I know what those are, plug them in and I'm done. And that's why this problem is so, quote, easy for some people here. Because we see 9 feet long, 6 feet wide, which makes this area equals 9 as the length, 6 as the width. And so now you just have to make sure you don't mess up on the simple calculation. 9 times 6, that's going to give us 54. And there it is, 54 square feet. And we're good. And so, boom, there it is. Did anybody here mistake the formula for something else? I think I saw Olivia, base times height. Oh, well, no, base times height's the same thing. Base times height's the same thing. Length times width and base times height, same exact thing. You could also say for a rectangle, side 1 times side 2. Like it, all you're saying is multiply the two unique sides together. That's it. Kenny, you may have mistaken it for the area of a triangle, which is 1/2 of the base times the height, right? And that's okay. But now that we know that, hey, we got to pick out what the shape is before we give out the formula, we give ourselves the best opportunity to succeed. Nobody else there? All right, cool. So again, yep, this one may have felt easy because, again, you had the knowledge, the wherewithal to be able to apply the formula as needed. Good. Yep, this would be, well, given how simple this one is, this could be either one. This could appear in AR or MK. I've seen it appear in both. But once you get more complicated, like adding context, like a rectangular frame, that's really where you start teetering into arithmetic reasoning. When you're given situations where you're given context, not just pure math. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into the next one here. Let's dive into the next one. Okay, cool. So with that, here you go, my party people. I'm gonna give you 3 minutes for this next one. 3 minutes for this next one. And as always, again, guys, remember, if you're struggling with any of these word problems, remember that you have got to make sure that you have your basics down first, your math basics, and then everything else will soon follow suit. 3 minutes for this next one. 3, 2, and 1. Let's go. And feel free to ignore the HTML code on the right side. Let me go ahead and change that for you guys. Here we go. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Boom. And looking at our final 2, 1, and time. Party people, how are we feeling about this one? Put those answers in. Put a question mark next to your guess if you must take a guess. Bring myself back here. All right, so before we get started on this one, looking at these answers, I'm loving the participation. You guys are really locked in, man. Loving seeing this. Before I continue, I want to just understand, are you guys having a good time so far? How are we feeling? Right on, right on, right on. Good. Good. Yeah, and it's totally cool if you're confused, if you're able to understand, hey, where is it that I'm confused? So let's go ahead and go through that essential 3-step process here again. Step 1 being, hey guys, what is it that we want? So let's break this down because there are times where when it comes to geometry word problems like we're doing here, specifically, this is unit 9 from the arithmetic reasoning. This is unit 9. This is going to be circles here. So what we're looking at here is a circle word problem, and let me prove to you why I know that's the case. First step is, hey, read the question. So when I read the question, it says, hey, what is the distance around the edge of the circular swimming pool? Everybody, when in doubt, draw it out. When in doubt, ask yourself, can I imagine what's going on? Can I imagine this situation? Can I imagine what I'm being asked to find? Can I point to it in my head? Let me go ahead and show you what that looks like, everybody. If I have a circular swimming pool, let's just go ahead and imagine my perfect drawing abilities and drawing a perfect circle, right? And once we have this perfect circle, let's zoom in on it. And again, this is going to be our swimming pool. So let's go ahead and write pool here. We got water. All right. Cool. Sounds good. And then, right, thank you. And so from there, I'm taking a look at this, and what do they ask me to find again, everybody? Can you give me, I'm not going to show the question again, but who remembers? What was I asked to find again about this circular swimming pool? What was I asked to find? Was it the area? Did it specifically say area? Can you give me the English words that they told me? What were the English words that they told me? Distance, Kaya, Zara, distance. But what did they say after distance? What did they say? What did they say? Melissa, thank you. I'm glad you got the link, Melissa. But yeah, the distance around the pool. The distance around the pool. Everybody, does that sound like area to you? I see a lot of y'all said area. When you're looking at the distance around an object, does that sound like area to you? No, it doesn't. Nope. What is that going to be, everybody? In regular context, when it comes to sided shapes like triangles, rectangles, pentagons, etc., if we say the distance around, we're talking about what P word, everybody? If we're talking about any other shape other than a circle, we're talking about what? The distance around a triangle or a perimeter, right? But when it comes to talking about perimeter of a circle, we don't exactly call it perimeter. We actually end up calling it circumference. And the only reason that circles have a special word for it is because circles don't have sides. It's a circle. It's edgeless. It's just a curve, an endless curve. And so that's why we technically had to give it a different name. The circumference and perimeter, same idea. The distance around a shape, circumference goes for circles, perimeter goes for shapes that have sides. Yes or no before I move on? Is that acceptable to you before we move on? Cool. Sounds good. Again, circumference and perimeter, same thing. For all intents and purposes here, circumference is the perimeter. And now here's the thing. The moment, so I'm going to go right here. The moment that we know, hey, we're talking about something that has a formula, immediately you want to spit the formula out. The crazy thing about the circumference formula for a circle is that there are two formulas, but they're essentially the same thing. I'm going to give you the first one, and I would like for you guys to give me the second one. Formula 1, not racing, is circumference equals pi times diameter. Can you give me the other formula, everybody? For circumference, pi r squared, that is going to be area. Because you have two dimensions there. Radius times radius, that's two dimensions. That's right, 2 pi r, Kai. Kai and Kaya. I love having both of y'all in here. So yeah, that'll be circumference equals 2 times pi times the radius. That is the other formula that we can absolutely use here. And I want to be very straightforward with y'all. These are the same formula because everybody, remember this. The diameter is the same thing as 2 times the radius. The diameter is the same thing as 2 times the radius. Therefore, these two formulas are the exact same thing. If I took out that diameter and just put double the radius, that's this right here. Are we good with that before I move on? Let me know if you're good with that because we're going to start doing some math. Because here's the last part of the problem. The first step was, hey, do we know what we're looking for? Did you get those keywords? Distance around a circular pond, boom, circumference. I know my formulas. Step 2, what's the information that I have? Because here, in this case, I would need diameter or radius, whichever one I have, plug it into the right formula, and we're done. Easy peasy. Let's check it out here. A circular swimming pool has a radius of 11 meters. Wow, they really kind of made this one easy for us, right? They didn't say the distance from the middle to the end. They just said, hey, the radius, I'm going to give it to you. It makes our lives a little easier because, boom, right there, everybody. Which formula are we going to use? Number 1 or number 2? Number 2. They gave you the radius. They tell you the radius is 11. Take advantage of the blessing they gave you right away. Circumference equals 2 times pi times the radius. I'm going to plug in my 11 for that radius, and now I'm done. Bam, right here. That radius is 11. And everybody, in this problem, are we keeping pi as pi, or are we using something else for pi? 3.14. How do I know? The problem tells you. Remember, everybody, it's not about what your gut says. It's about what the problem tells you to do. Sometimes they'll say leave it as pi. Sometimes they'll say use the replacement 3.14 for pi. They're at liberty to tell you either one. So it tells you 3.14. So that's what I'll do. And I'll go ahead and say we have 2 times 3.14. Let me go ahead and use a green highlight there. Times 11. And that's it. Now it's time to get to work. We'll go ahead and start off with doing 2 times 3.14. 2 times 3.14. It's pretty simple because we don't have to borrow, or excuse me, we don't have to carry anything over here. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 4 is 8. So we have 6.28. That's how we got that right there. And now we just have to do 6.28 times 11. And all's gold. So here, I know it seems like a lot, but I'm telling you, guys, once you get done with the math basics, going over pure calculation with decimals ain't going to scare you one bit. I promise. Here we go. 6.28 times 11, 8 times 1, 2 times 1, 6 times 1. Next line, 8 times 1, 2 times 1, 6 times 1. I'm going to add this all back together now. That was so hard. Wow. Here we go. Lastly here, we got ourselves, I'll go ahead and use red here. We got 8, 10, carry the 2, 9, and 6. A total of how many decimal places? 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's going to be 69.08 as the circumference. And we are done. We said meters. So it's meters. And there we have it. Booyah. And that's A. So let me move out of the way for you so that way you can take a picture if you'd like to. But I really want to take this opportunity, guys, to remind y'all, the two main issues that people definitely always stumble across when they do have issues to begin with, it's either going to be one of the two. It's either going to be, hey, do I recognize the English in the problem? Do I know how to turn that English into math? Do I know how to turn it and convert it and translate it into the math that I need to do? And then the other part that people typically struggle with is the actual procedure, the actual calculations, the actual finishing the formula and doing the math. Because a lot of the times, fractions, decimals, percents, big numbers, extremely small numbers, they tend to freak people out. So remember, everybody, your issues, wherever they may lie in any particular problem, because it could be different depending on the topic, but you got to ask yourself, am I having an issue with setting it up, or am I having an issue with solving? And you can't say that your issue is solving if you haven't been able to set it up yet. You got to do step 1 to get to step 2, right? So make sure you understand that and practice your best, keeping that in mind always. Always. Same, memory is my biggest problem. These explanations help out a lot. I didn't know the setup. I solved it quickly after I had the question. Nice. And so, boom. Knowing your formulas and how they relate and how those keywords tell you what you're doing, that's the biggest thing here, guys. Formulas is definitely a big issue for some people, and that's step 1. Knowing how to turn that English into math. Recognizing, not just memorizing your formula, but recognizing it in the problem. Very important. Very important. Let me see these other comments here. Really quick. So I didn't know the setup. I solved it quickly after I had the equation. Saw that. I need more time to learn this. Yep, this is going to be Unit 9 circles. You'll learn about circumference, radius, diameter, area, revolution problems. Everything's in there. I did 22 times 3.14 and got the same answer. That's correct, Madison. Yep, that'll work out just the same because you can multiply 1 times 2 times 3 or 3 times 2 times 1. Same deal. Same deal. All right, so I can recognize these formulas and what formula I should use, but my problem is actually memorizing the formulas. Well, there you go. You know what you need to work on, Olivia. Now you know what you need to work on. Of course, we need more time to practice all this, and we'll get that time. We have that time, so take advantage of it. So the last one, which one was that unit? This one was unit 8. This is unit 8, area and perimeter word problems. Right there. I got y'all. Cool. So after all these questions that we just did, everybody, after all these questions that we just went through, how are we feeling about all this so far? Like, do you understand what the next steps are for you as a student of this game here, of the ASVAB? Do you understand what you need to do and what your responsibility is moving forward? Yeah, no, it's already almost 8. We've had a lot of fun time. That always happens when we have fun. Okay, I'm glad that you guys are excited about the next steps, because at the very least, with me having given you all of these topics, what you should look forward to now is using the resources that you have available to you. Whether you're in my program or not, you need to be able to say, okay, cool. These are the problems I definitely struggled with. These are the ones I'm almost getting or consistent with. Let's go ahead and start here. Okay, one topic at a time. I saw that I particularly struggled with those area and perimeter problems. Boom. I'm going to focus on that. And if you're in my program, it makes everything very easy to follow through with, because all of your lessons, worksheets, guided practice, recorded lessons, all that stuff, start to finish, and your practice tests right there for you. And also, as a reminder, if you are looking forward to the next class is tomorrow. Again, for those of you in the program, same time tomorrow and same time Wednesday for verbal expression. I think we have word knowledge on Wednesday this week. So get excited for those, because tomorrow's our first math knowledge class of May. Same style as this. We're going to dive straight in, work on these pure math problems, and see step by step how to get these done. Exactly, Zaro. Remember that you can't grow by protecting your ego. If you look at your notes from today, it's okay. Like, you got some wrong. That's fine. That is fine. Even if you didn't get any right at all, that is fine. Because the point of being here is not to stroke your ego. It's to build a knowledge base, a familiarity, a sense of confidence. And you can't do that if you're afraid to be wrong all the time. So I really do want to thank everybody who showed up today with a commitment to yourself and a commitment to getting the truth, as opposed to just feeling good. Because what you'll understand is that if you're going for the truth, you will feel good eventually. So I really do appreciate you guys for coming in here, man. You guys are really awesome. And for those of you who want to learn more about the program, or who are interested in it, or want to get a chance to sign up with a little bit of a discount, hey, sure, why not? Go ahead and stick around for the next 5 minutes. I'll definitely make sure you're taken care of and explain clearly. And for those of you who are in the program, just a reminder, go ahead and check the class schedule. Let me post the link right here in the chat box for you before you go. Here's the class schedule. As always, it's the same link. We update this web page once a month. Boom, there's your class schedule. You'll see all of the topics coming up. We have word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, arithmetic reasoning, and math knowledge. And we also have specific math topics trickled in, like fractions, and we also have proportions in there as well. So with that said, my party people, if you are in the program, again, just remember, math basics, ARMK courses, then practice tests. Follow that plan and you're guaranteed success. I'll see you guys tomorrow. For those of you that are interested in the program, go ahead and stick around. Like I said, let me explain what's going on. So first things first. Thiele, reach out to me on that. I got you on the side. I got you. So first things first, for those of you that are interested in the program, as your teacher, as your potential teacher, and as just a human being, I need to make sure that this is going to work for you, or this is a good fit for you. So I want to go ahead and ask you guys a couple of honest questions, and please go ahead and type your answer out in the chat box. So number one, do you feel like you suffer from test anxiety? Does test anxiety stop you from doing your best? And what I mean by that is, hey, have you found yourself in moments where your recruiter tells you, hey, you're taking the test soon, or it's actually test day, and everything that you've studied feels like it's just gone blank in your head? Only difference is you're being timed under pressure in front of a recruiter. Thanks for being honest. Number two, have you found yourself blanking out on word problems? Like when you actually sit down and you're doing the math, you sometimes might read the same sentence 2 or 3 times, but you haven't a clue of what it means. Okay. These are two big components in test anxiety. Very, very, very fixable if we go ahead and go about things the right way and have a little bit of commitment to it. Number 3, do you find yourself running out of time a lot in the sense of having to guess and hope for the best, where you have 2 minutes left, you got 10 questions, you haven't got a hope in the world to get all 10 of those questions done in 2 minutes. So you're sitting there just saying, dang it, I wish I had more time. I hate Christmas tree. Okay, thank you for being honest. And lastly, do you kind of feel like you're going alone through this, where it kind of feels like it's up to you to figure out what you need to study, how you need to study, and more importantly, how to tell when you're ready for the actual test? And if you feel that way and you hate that, again, these are the issues that we solve here with our program. So if you've gone through this class and you felt like even this one class gave you a little bit of glimmer of a hope to be able to move forward in the right direction, and more of this could work for you, or hoping that I had your back all the way until you passed, that's what this is. I got you. So long story short here, just to cap it off again, if you were here in the beginning of class, I shouted out all of these students who ended up passing in just the last week alone. And if you weren't here in the beginning of class, well, you missed out, because I congratulated a ton of students, and I want to shout them out one more time here again. Lakota, Antonio, Coy, Asia, Natasha, Ryan, Zach, Abimael, Brad, and Dominic all passed within the last week, since last week Tuesday. So only in the last 6 days, all of these students passed. And again, it's not luck. It might feel like it's luck when you see these Facebook posts and Instagram posts and people getting, congratulated, but you don't see the in-between. The in-between is consistency. And if you're willing to put in that work and put in that consistency, I will line everything up for you. There's going to be no effort guessing what to study, because it's all right there. So let me go ahead and go back and explain how the program works one more time before I let you sign up with a nice discount code. So long story short, everything's lined up for you. We got live classes. We got the recordings in case you can't make it. So don't worry about having a busy schedule. I got you. You have courses for all of the AFQT and general science. And it totals over 15,000 practice questions with video solutions, step-by-step solutions. So basically, every time you sit down, you're going to learn. And then lastly, you have practice tests made available to you, progress reports that come out periodically every 2 weeks at this point. And on top of that, you can text me whenever you need help. So essentially, I found every single way to have your back all the way until you pass. So with that said, get rid of that test anxiety. Stop putting yourself in these situations where you're wishing for the best instead of actually putting in the work, and sign up. So here's how you do it. You can go ahead and sign up for the monthly, the year, or the lifetime bundle. One of my students, Elena, I won't say her last name, but Elena actually just reached out to me today, letting me know that she was with me about 2 years ago, then in the program again about 2 months ago, and ended up getting a promotion after she already enlisted. So if you're that kind of person who wants to get in now and get promoted later, the year or the lifetime are going to be your best options. Lifetime, probably with the deal that I give off tonight, basically the full year, that price, that's what the lifetime costs tonight only. So if you're also someone who wants to pass as soon as possible, within the next 2 to 10 weeks or the next month to 3 months, I would definitely go with the monthly, just to keep things easy for you. And I'll go ahead and give you discounts on each of those, including the monthly, in the chat box right now. But to sign up, all you have to do, go to this link right here, asvab.info/classes. Then click sign up and raise your score, and pick the plan you want and sign up. It's that straightforward. That's all you need to do, and you're starting on acing the ASVAB right away. So let me go ahead and give you the link right here in the chat box. And I'll give you a coupon code for the monthly as well, a 10% off coupon for every single month right here. Boom. So there's the full program link in the chat box. I'll go ahead and put it here on YouTube as well. And there it is. Great. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and answer any questions that you have about the program. But for those of you who are dead set on this and you know that you're willing to put in the time and invest the time that you need, go ahead and again, raise your score now, get the job you want, and I'll see you there. So Tyler, I'm glad you're in too. I'm glad you're in too. I'm going to go back up here because I saw a couple of private comments. Let me see here, directed at me. Hey, coach. What's the difference between the lifetime and the year? Okay, so like I said, the year, one-time payment, you get access to everything. They all give you the same access, but the year will give it to you for one full year, one-time payment. The lifetime, I put you on a list to where, hey, I know once you pass, and basically when you want to come back a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, boom, you reach out to me, I add everything back into your account, and you're good. It'll always be there, but then if anything happens, I can put it right back in. So hopefully I answered that one. Next one here. Yeah, so okay, so the question was about the payment system, about which ones are recurring and not. The monthly is the only one that recurs. You can cancel whenever. Think about it like Netflix or Hulu or whatever. Just cancel before you get billed, and you don't get billed. That simple. For the year payment and the lifetime payment, one time. So for the year, once that year expires, that's it. No need to pay. Like you're not going to be charged again unless you want to continue, and you're good. Is it easy to find the courses once I sign up? Yep, exactly. So yes. So once you sign up, all you got to do is just finish the program checklist. So I made a whole little onboarding welcome board for you. So once you sign up, there's a video that plays for you telling you exactly how to get started if you're looking to start with math or starting with English, or if you want to just use the classes. I lay it out for you on a nice, neat web page. All you got to do is read the web page and follow through. And on top of that, I also send you a welcome text message and a welcome email to make sure that you have everything that you need to know, all the important facts, including the class schedule and how to find all the links, everything included. Yeah, great question. Yeah. So again, any more questions, just ask. Let me keep scrolling here. Yeah, so this ridiculous deal, yes, for tonight. I only do these all my classes. So the get 10 for the monthly always works. But for the people who want to take advantage of the year or the lifetime, it's a great deal because typically, I'll be honest with you, other ASVAB programs, they're charging you like $200 a month, but they're not as robust as my program. So they're charging you what I would charge for a whole year, they charge per month. I've been teaching for about 12 years. I don't think that it's fair to charge that much. Like I get it, teachers deserve to be paid, but you guys are trying to make careers for yourselves too. So that's why it is a huge deal for me. And you're getting an even sweeter deal tonight to lower it even more. Yeah, great question there. And then looking at the other comments on the other app here. Yeah, math basics. To answer your question, you know who you are. You want to start with the math basics. So again, I know it's very, very tempting to want to go into the arithmetic, reasoning, or math knowledge, but the fact of the matter is, the math basics takes away half of your problems. The problems being, hey, how do I handle these numbers, fractions, percents, decimals? How do I solve these equations here? How do I convert units? All of that is taken care of for you if you start with the math basics. That way, when you go to AR and MK, chill and you're clear. You get to work one topic at a time, master each one of them. And then when you're ready, step 3, take the practice tests. Yes, getting a good line score is the most important thing right now. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. The AFQT subjects, the 2 math and the 2 English sections, that's exactly what you want to focus on for any job that you want, because you have to qualify first and then qualify for the job. So we're going to qualify for enlistment, then the specific job. Good questions. Yeah, people charging $800 for 4 hours. I've seen that before, and that's 4 hours of one-on-one tutoring. When you think about it, after one-on-one tutoring, do you get a recording of the session? Do you get extra homework? Do you get extra videos? Do you get all of that support that you wish you had paying that much money? So think about it. Why would you pay $800 for 4 hours when you could pay $60 or less than that for 24 hours of classes, plus 450 plus recordings, plus access to almost all the unlimited videos, unlimited questions, practice tests, study guides, all lined up for you step by step. I've been doing this for 12 years, guys. It works. I found a way to do it without charging a bunch of money, basically. And that's right, Melissa. Yep. For all the plans, it's all available. So it's all the same program. The plans are just based off of the access, like how much time you have access to it. That way, for those of you who are trying to pass as soon as you want, as soon as you can, go with the monthly. For those of you that understand your situation and you know you're studying for as long as you can to get that absolute high score, year. And if you think that you just want to go ahead and pass now and then get promoted later, lifetime. That's as simple as I can make it. And so, Kaya, if you join the program by the end of the month, do I think you'll be ready to take the test? So every situation is different. Kaya, if you go ahead and get started now, what we can do is we can go ahead and see how you do with my practice tests and see how ready you might be right now. So I can basically measure or estimate the gap that you got to fulfill, because there's a lot of factors. I got to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, yep, all you need is 3 weeks. All you need is 4 weeks. Everyone's different. And it really depends on how much time you have to study. It depends on where you currently are. It depends on what score you're trying to get and what job you're trying to qualify for. So if I have all those pieces of information, I can definitely give you my best professional estimate. Sounds good, Kaya. And so, Tyler, you made a 20 2 years ago. So the thing is, I want to advise you against thinking that's where you currently are. Because I think we can agree 2 years or 24 months, it's a pretty long time. So we can't be certain that you're still at a 20. You might be higher, might be a little lower, who knows? So the best thing we can do is either take a practice test from your recruiter or one of my practice tests just to get a feel for how well you understand the subject matter. We're not going to particularly look at the score. We're going to be looking at your confidence, and we're going to be looking at if you know how to back up your answers. Because if you do, then you might be a little higher than that 20. A score range of 16 to 21, in my opinion, means that, hey, you've memorized some of these formulas, you've memorized some of these procedures, but you might not be able to explain your work. So again, plenty of ways to tell where you currently are. And if anybody's going to sit here and tell you that they have a practice test that'll predict your exact score, they are a liar. I will tell you that right now. The way that the military grades the ASVAB is based off of the comparison to the other people who took it. And other websites, including my own, don't have access to that kind of data. We can only, which is the right way to do it, we can only show you the subject matter, the topics, and help you explain each one of them carefully. So Melissa, yeah, one of my practice tests is free, but if you want to access, I believe it's the 16 others, that's part of the program. Yeah, and Melissa, I do believe that you already signed up for that free practice test. I think it's already in your account. I can double check for you. Let me double check for you, Melissa. 2 seconds. Oh no, you didn't actually. So Melissa, does your email end in 656 at Gmail? Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually, because Melissa, you used to have the group tutoring pass way back last year, the beginning of last year, last January. I'm gonna put the free practice test back into your account right now here. So right here, enroll. Booyah. Okay, so Melissa, you're going to receive an email in just about now. So go ahead and check your email. It's going to have the login information reminded to you, and it's also going to show you exactly how to start using it. Cool. Sounds good. There it is. I got you. So take that practice test to see where you are. What I've actually done also is I coded in some software that when you finish the arithmetic reasoning test, I actually send you a complete score breakdown of your arithmetic reasoning scores. So check that out. It's going to tell you the answers and videos and everything. And I'm working on it for the other ones for free. Yeah, so Kaya, that doesn't at midnight, but that's going to be midnight Pacific time. So it'll be 3 a.m. Eastern. So you have some time. Right now, you still have 5 hours. And if you need more time, just text me directly. You've been texting me today, so you're good. And just let me know that, hey, coach, could you just keep that code open for you? And I'll go ahead and make sure that your email can still use that coupon code. You're good. No need to worry. I got your back. And going back over here to the other app. So Lynn, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, yes, I absolutely can help you get that, get a score raise before Friday, sure, but it's not the right way to go about it. And the great thing is that you have all the power in the world to reschedule the test. Your recruiter cannot punish you. Your recruiter cannot reprimand you for that because it's not their choice. When you take the test is when you're ready. That's why there's a 1 month, and a 6 month wait between taking the tests. So choose carefully when you go in. And if you've already scheduled it, there's no problem with respectfully going to your recruiter and saying, hey, Staff Sergeant so-and-so, I want to let you know that I'd like to reschedule my test because I'm working with an ASVAB coach now. He'll let me know when I'm closer to being ready. That way I'm confident going in. Your recruiter will respect the heck out of that. And honestly, 99% of the time, they love it for the simple reason being when your recruiter enlists somebody, guess what? There might be a bonus that they get. So they want you to be successful. So being honest with your recruiter and rescheduling if you have to, it's great for them. It's great for you. Gotcha. Yeah, so because I don't want you walking into that situation blindsided or wasting time. Because you have 3 opportunities before you got to wait 6 months. Definitely don't want to take those for granted. Gotcha. So yeah, so for you, Lynn, in your specific case, it looks like you're already passing the AFQT side of things. Now we need to go ahead and look up that MOS in the Army, find out the exact qualifications for it, the specifications, and boom, get to work. We got it. So JetLo for line scores. So line score, basically a line score, it's breaking down your scores into all the subcategories. So you have an overall ASVAB score, but then there are line scores that will basically be used to qualify you for specific jobs. So for example, if you wanted to be a warrant officer, not only do you have to pass the AFQT, but you have to go ahead and get a 110 GT score. And a GT score is made up of arithmetic reasoning, word knowledge, and paragraph comprehension. They only look at those 3 specific ones for the GT score. So every job has their own specific line score or line scores that they look at, and they tell you what the score you need is. And once you know that, once you arm yourself with that information, that's a wrap, because you know what you need to focus on. If you even need to care about mechanical comprehension or general science, it depends on the job. And so that way you can focus on what you need to focus on. All right, so through, baby, if all you want to do is get that 31, good. There we go. So for you, in your case, monthly would be it, as long as you're able to hit it hard and fast right when you get started. I gotcha. Yeah, give it that time. And that's right, Trooper Martin, we will be fine. So going back over here to the other app. Oh, my bad. It's Kia, not Kaya. I didn't want to say Kia because I thought it was, wow. Okay, cool. Won't forget that because I drive a Kia. All right, and then Tyler, coach my MOS for Master at Arms, requires a minimum 43 and a combined ARWK 98. Which one is it? Let me look that up for you right now. I got you. That's for the Army, right? Just making sure. Let me know which branch. I'm thinking Army. Navy? Okay, cool. Got you, Navy. All right, so Master at Arms for the Navy. We're looking at, actually, you got a couple more things. You have AR, WK, MK, and MC. So you need a total of 196 with that. Let me actually copy and paste this for you for the Navy. Right there. So Master at Arms for the Navy. The code is MA, and what you need again, arithmetic reasoning, word knowledge, math knowledge. So 3 of the AFQT topics already, but then the extra one is mechanical comprehension. But the 4 of those together need to add up to a 196, which is absolutely possible. Trust me, it is. It's a little easier than you think. It's not that terrible. The 196 looks big. It's not that terrible. Because typically, people who can pass the ASVAB already are looking at around a 50 on the AR, WK, and MK. So that's already 150 points. You just need that 46 from the mechanical comprehension. So it shouldn't be bad at all, Tyler. So Lynn, I would recommend going ahead and doing the monthly, since it sounds like you're trying to pass. It sounds like you're trying to pass ASAP. Let me just double check here. No, you're trying to get that. Okay, you're trying to get a specific line score. So go ahead, Lynn, get the monthly because you're already at a 39. To go from a 39, typically it's going to be in the 50s you're going for, plus that line score. I can't imagine that taking more than 2 months if you have the consistent time that you need. So I think you'll be fine. I think the monthly will save you enough money and you can get the job done, given that you already have a 39. Through baby, no. So the thing is, getting the 31 for the AFQT, that is entirely made up of math knowledge, word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, and arithmetic reasoning. Mechanical comprehension doesn't affect that. And so therefore, you won't see that be part of that 31. So, Jesus, there's going to be a few jobs that have technology embedded into its structure. So I would definitely go ahead and in Google type Navy ASVAB scores, and then there's going to be a list that pulls up in the first link from military.com. Scroll through it and look at the names of the jobs that really interest you that are involved with technology, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's looking at logistics, whatever it is. Go ahead and check out each of those jobs, and then boom, you can see what jobs and score or what scores you need, and you're good. Okay, so Mo, you got a 15, but you're taking it at the end of the month. Sorry, I'm calling you Mo because I have a friend that, or a former student of mine actually, from when I taught in high school, who had the same name. We called him Mo, so if that's okay with you. But got a 15, end of the month. That gives 30 days, but it's cutting it close. You might need like an extra 2 weeks beyond that. Yeah, if you might want to consider taking 6 weeks. Typically, the majority of my students, like the vast majority of them, get it between 6 and 10 weeks. So anywhere between a month and a half and 2.5 months. Oh, what's up? Air Defense Battle Management Systems Operator 12G. Wait, I believe you may have reached out to me and you're not using your actual name here. I think I know who you are. But congratulations. Hey, you're welcome for coming. Thank you for putting in the time. Because you making that comment here in this class, that's showing other people that they can do it too. So thank you for. I knew it, Avamil. I was like, hold up. Avamil, I'm not sure if you were here during class, but I went ahead and shouted you out right over, right over here. I got you shouted out. Boom. 44. Congratulations. I'm not sure if you're here because I was shouting you out all day there and then at the end of class too. Hey, Abimael, you're welcome. You did the right work. You put in the time and effort. I can only congratulate that. Like these are the moments that we live for as a teacher. Like, yeah, we wake up, we do this for a living, but what makes it that much better is knowing that not only were we able to get something, but we were able to give back in the same moments of time. So I'm proud of you. Seriously am. Thanks for coming to class and thanks for taking it seriously. All right, cool. So with that, summer party people, it is 8:20, so I am going to have to hop off for the evening, given that obviously it's late. I got a life and I need to wake up early so I can keep making some more videos for y'all. So with that, summer math party people, I love y'all to death. One more time, here is how to sign up for the program. Right over here, if you want to take a screenshot of that. Boom. And I'll go ahead and put everything you need here in the chat box. So 2 seconds there as I copy and paste it. Here it is, how to sign up. Boom. And over here in Zoom as well. And if anybody here has any questions, you can feel free to text me. My phone number, I'm going to go ahead and just flash it on the screen. Right there. Not that one. Well, whatever. I'll go ahead. Oh, there it is. Cool. So if you have any questions at all, there you go, my party people. You can go ahead and reach out to me. That's my phone number that you can text only. I don't take phone calls at that number. I think my voicemail box is beyond full because I just do not do phone calls because I'm responding to over 200 students a day. The only way I can do that is if I'm only focusing on text messages. So with that, shoot me a text. That way we can answer any questions that you have. And from there, we're good. All right, my party people. I love y'all. Again, keep putting in that work. Keep putting in that time. I'll see you in tomorrow's class at 6 p.m. And let's ace the ASVAB, guys. Cheers.